who is Karen, the character you play on the show, and what is it about this role that makes her so endearing to you?
She was very endearing to me. I mean, she is the keyboard player, so I had that to take on to be able to learn keyboard, which we all did in the show. But to me, Karen was Karen's like the kind of the one that always sort of had it together, while the whole band sort of had the kind of chaos around her. And she's the only Brit in the band. So I always imagined that Karen had, like, you know, come to America to maybe try it out for a little bit, and ended up staying for 20 years and ended up having this entire life story that she never would have thought. And she's confident, and she's so committed and passionate to what she does, and that endeared her to me very much. And she was pretty unusual for, very unusual, unusually kind of confident, just person in her time, and incredibly passionate.
Now, just tell us about Eddie in your own words, and what made you want to be a part of Daisy Jones and the Six.
I mean, it's a no-brainer. When this project came along, it was clearly something very cool, interesting, amazing people surrounding it. I feel very lucky, very honored to have had the chance. But, also the opportunity to play Eddie was really interesting for me because, I mean, first of all, being English, having the opportunity to play an American character is always a challenge and something that is very fulfilling for me to achieve. But also, I love stepping into a character when I have the opportunity to step further away from myself and kind of explore playing somebody completely new, and having the opportunity to dress up in 70s clothes, do the American accent, and also to be in a band. I'm in a band myself, and I've always kind of been a musician. So having the opportunity to cross my worlds in that way was really exciting.
That's great. Now, both of you, besides the scripts, where did you draw your inspiration from in creating these characters? Did you look at famous rock stars from the 70s?
I kind of started with sort of creating a 1970s like musical timeline, and I sort of like figured out when Elton John came on the scene and what year. I think it was like 1971, when you're looking at who was number one, and then, and it's people like Roberta Flack, and like I had like a timeline, and I would look at the TV shows that everybody was watching, like the Sonny and Cher show, or there's a show called like Midnight. I think it was called like the Midnight. Like I started looking at the TV shows of the 70s and what everybody was watching, and where like sort of rock and roll came in, because it very much like changed from 1970 to 1973. It was quite dramatic when you'd start seeing like the music change and rock and roll change. So I was sort of like looking at where our band was placed, and we were very lucky, weren't we? Because we had Blake Mills, who is our musical director, and he's basically like, yeah, kind of like the best guitarist in the world, and just like such an unbelievable musician and writer, and he had this team around us. He created this team around us, and the co-writes on it. We had Phoebe Bridgers and Marcus Mumford, and Ethan Gruska produced as well. Like we just to know that we had some of the best musicians that are available to anyone involved in this project was very exciting.
I had a big long playlist of music that was provided to us by some of the producers and some of the writers. Like different people were sending me different playlists that they felt like the band would have been into at that time, and just really, because I didn't know much about the 70s scene of music. There was a lot I discovered on this job, and that's one thing that I love about acting, and the fact that it brings me to new genres, and I always learn with different roles that I do. And I feel like I was just trying to sort of learn a bit about what's going on. And Eddie, was always trying to be on the cusp of everything, always trying to push the musical sound. And this was just before punk hit. And so, there's a moment in the show when he sort of discovers punk as well, which is exciting.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, you're both musicians and actors, and music plays a huge role in this show. Now, I'm curious as to know, when expressing yourselves artistically, do you find it acting or music to be the best option for you?
I think music's very personal for me, and while this job had elements of music and the fact that I could connect the two was great, the bottom line, I think, is if you're playing a character, it's always somebody else's work. And it's my work as well, because I'm playing the role and I'm bringing myself to it. But, there's a project outlined. Whereas for me, creating music is always just, it's entirely on my terms. So for me, that's, in terms of artistic expression and where I feel I express myself most, it's always going to be in music.
I kind of find the two worlds blend quite a lot, but it's true. It's like in acting, you're sort of like you're one part of a lot of things, and in music you're sort of like the boss of everything, and the two things are both like kind of equally as beautiful in a way. You can't really know when you're making things or performing, or you can't really know what will like hit you at a certain time, but I kind of try. Like I a lot of the time, as maybe a song will come out of, do you find like, when we're shooting or something, or I guess even from just the experience of filming, or, that might end up becoming a song.
Totally. I mean, actually on Daisy, there was a lot of time where I had a bass. Yeah. And I'm waiting in between takes, and we've got nothing to do for 15 minutes, and I would always just be playing. And so I had all these little bass lines that I was recording, so I'd be like, oh, that's kind of groovy. Yeah. And then I'd go home, I've made an album.
But Josh is so, I mean, his brain you're so intelligent. Like Josh can be noodling, making music, doing the movie, doing the TV show, and also be, he'll learn how he'll fully learn how to code, didn't you? Or like,
it was animation.
Not
coding. No, yeah.
It's beautiful.
He was making animations the entire time. Like he was never not doing something that was incredibly useful and very smart.
There's always a certain discourse about how artists in the 70s were able to get away with stuff that they probably wouldn't be able to nowadays. Now, do you think that in the past 15 years, we have regressed as a society, or did we develop some sort of thin skin?
Well, we can't get away with anything now. I mean,
I think it's definitely progressed. And everything that's been progressing, it's all towards great causes.
It's all about progression.
It's all about progression. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was definitely looser back then. Maybe I think that was probably a bad thing.
That's beautiful. I'm afraid my time is up.